There's something deeply disturbing about the nature of truth. The simpler it is, the more our mind rejects it. Perhaps you've already lost yourself in labyrinths of complex techniques, elaborate rituals, and theories that promise to unveil the mysteries of quantum manifestation. But there's a cruel irony in this search. You're looking outside yourself for something so simple that your own mental complexity sabotages it. For years, we've been conditioned to believe that quantum manifestation is complex, esoteric, and requires advanced physics knowledge to function. That we need to master formulas, understand subatomic particles, and decipher cosmic codes to access our creative power. This belief isn't just false, it's the very veil that separates us from our manifesting nature. Perhaps you feel exhausted from trying to understand increasingly complex manifestation systems, tired of studying yet another technique, applying yet another method, seeking yet another guru who promises to have the definitive formula that will finally work for you. This constant search for complexity can generate a profound sense of inadequacy, as if you weren't intelligent or spiritually evolved enough to understand manifestation. The pain of complicating what is naturally simple can create distance between you and your own creative power, as if you needed special credentials to access something that's already yours by birthright. Joe Dispenza revolutionized our understanding of manifestation when he discovered that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. When you stop complicating, the quantum field responds instantly. Neville Goddard, decades earlier, had already understood that simplicity is the mark of truth, while complicating is always the mark of confusion. The truth that will liberate you today is this: quantum manifestation is so simple that your rational mind rejects it. It's just about being, not doing. When you abandon the need to complicate and embrace the elegance of quantum simplicity, the struggle ceases and manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. Your mind has been conditioned to associate value with complexity. If something is too simple, it can't be powerful. If it doesn't require Herculean effort, it can't be effective. If there's nothing to master, it can't be valuable. This programming makes you unconsciously sabotage simple solutions in favor of complicated processes that make more sense to the ego. The rational mind desperately needs to feel it's doing something important to justify results. The idea that you can manifest simply by being who you really are seems too simple to be true. So you add unnecessary layers of complexity to satisfy the ego's need to feel important and relevant in the process. The simplest experiment in quantum physics revealed the deepest truth about reality creation. When an electron is fired through two slits, it behaves as a wave when unobserved and as a particle when observed. There's no complex ritual, no elaborate technique, no esoteric knowledge, just the presence of a conscious observer. This scientifically proves that your consciousness doesn't need to do anything complex to affect reality. It simply needs to observe with intention. The act of conscious observation is sufficient to collapse waves of possibility into concrete experiences. Most people instinctively reject the simplicity of quantum manifestation because it doesn't feed the ego. There's nothing to master, no techniques to perfect, no secret knowledge to accumulate. You simply are, and from that being, reality emerges naturally. This simplicity is rejected because it doesn't offer the ego the sensation of achievement or intellectual superiority. it's easier to accept that manifestation is difficult and that you need to work hard to deserve your desires than to recognize that you're already the creator you were looking for. Quantum physics reveals that the collapse of possibility waves into reality happens instantly at the moment of conscious observation. There's no temporal process, no steps to follow, no waiting necessary. There's only the present moment where your consciousness chooses which possibility to experience. The idea that manifestation takes time is an illusion created by the linear mind that needs sequences to understand. In the quantum field, everything exists simultaneously. Time is just the sequence in which you choose to experience different possibilities that already exist. When you understand that manifestation is instantaneous, you stop waiting for something to happen in the future and start consciously choosing what you experience now. You're manifesting perfectly every moment. Each thought, each emotion, each focus of attention is collapsing a specific reality. The problem isn't that you don't know how to manifest. It's that you're manifesting unconsciously, creating by default instead of by design. The process illusion makes you believe you need to learn something new when you actually need to consciously direct something you're already doing naturally. It's like discovering you always knew how to ride a bicycle, but you were pedaling with your eyes closed. You are a perfect quantum observer. Every time you consistently focus on problems, you manifest them with precision. Every time you obsessively worry about something, you attract it magnetically. Every time you fear something, you create conditions for it to happen. This proves unequivocally that you already master quantum manifestation. The only difference is you're using this power unconsciously, creating by default instead of conscious design. Every moment, you have infinite possibilities available in the quantum field. Your function as a conscious observer is to choose which of these possibilities to collapse into tangible experience. This choice isn't made with effort or complex techniques, but with directed attention and aligned emotion. When you place your conscious attention on a specific possibility with clarity and corresponding emotion, you collapse it into reality. It's that simple. There's no complex technique, just conscious choice moment by moment. The quantum field doesn't understand Portuguese, English, or any human language. It doesn't process your eloquent affirmations, your well-formulated prayers, or your desperate pleas. The universe responds only to the universal language of vibrational frequency, the energy you emit through your state of being. Your words are completely irrelevant to the quantum field. Your vibration is everything. You can repeat affirmations for hours, but if your emotional frequency contradicts your words, the field responds to the frequency, not the speech. This is why people who do everything right technically still struggle with manifestation. The language the universe understands fluently is the frequency of your being, not the eloquence of your speech or the perfection of your technique. A pure signal is a coherent frequency without interference or internal contradiction. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned at the same frequency, You emit a crystal clear signal that the quantum field can interpret and respond to with ease and precision. Signal purity doesn't come from technical perfection, but from internal coherence. When you genuinely feel, think, and act from the same reality, you become a clear and powerful transmitter. It's like the difference between a radio station with clean signal and one with static. The quantum field always responds better to clarity. Doubt creates devastating interference in the quantum signal. It's like trying to tune into a radio station while another station interferes on the same frequency. The result is confusing static instead of clear and harmonious music. When you doubt after programming an intention, you're sending two completely contradictory signals to the quantum field. For safety, the field maintains the familiar status quo instead of manifesting something confusing or incoherent. Doubt isn't just lack of faith, it's literally an active cancellation of your quantum programming. Perfect tuning happens when you consistently vibrate at the frequency of the reality you want to experience. It's like tuning a radio station. When the tuning is perfect, the music flows effortlessly, without static, without interference. To calibrate your frequency, you need to genuinely feel what it would be like to live in the desired reality. Not imagine intellectually, but feel emotionally. When you can sustain this emotional frequency with consistency, you automatically attract corresponding experiences. Calibration isn't technical, it's emotional. It's about feeling the reality you want to live until it becomes more real than your current situation. Are you feeling this simplicity revealing itself now? This understanding that perhaps you've been complicating something that's naturally simple. Before we continue to the next insight, leave in the comments one word that represents how you feel discovering you're already a perfect quantum manifester. Your declaration is your first conscious signal to the field. Conditioned linear logic says you need to have something to be someone. Quantum physics reveals the absolute opposite. You need to be someone to have something. Identity is the fundamental frequency that determines what kind of experiences you can access in the field of possibilities. When you fundamentally change who you are at the deepest level, reality automatically reorganizes to correspond to the new identity. You don't need to force external changes. They emerge naturally from the new internal frequency as inevitable consequence. This is the quantum inversion most people don't understand. You don't work to get things to become someone. You become someone and things flow naturally. At the quantum level, you're already entangled with all possible versions of yourself, including the version living in the total abundance you desire. This abundant version isn't a distant future possibility. It's a present reality existing simultaneously at a different frequency. Through quantum entanglement, you can directly access the qualities, feelings, and experiences of this expanded version, simply by tuning into its frequency. There's no real distance, only difference in tuning. It's like having access to all TV channels simultaneously, but you only experience the channel you're tuned into at the moment. To manifest a new reality, the old version of you that lived in limitation needs to die symbolically. You can't be two people at the same time. It's physically impossible to vibrate abundance while fundamentally identifying with scarcity. This death isn't loss, it's liberation. It's the end of identification with limitations that were never real, just familiar. It's like taking off tight clothes you'd worn so long, you forgot what it's like to move freely. Resistance to this death of the old identity is what keeps most people trapped in the same repetitive patterns. The quantum field constantly tests your coherence, the consistency between who you say you are and how you actually vibrate moment by moment. When there's total alignment between declared identity and lived identity, the field responds with corresponding manifestations. Incoherence creates confusion in the quantum signal. If you identify as abundant but consistently act from scarcity, you send contradictory messages that prevent clear manifestations. The quantum field doesn't judge. It simply responds to the dominant frequency you're transmitting through your authentic identity. Forced action comes from the frequency of lack, the energy of someone who doesn't have and desperately needs to get. Quantum action comes from the frequency of abundance, the energy of someone who already is and is simply expressing their true nature. When you force, you transmit scarcity to the quantum field. When you flow, you transmit abundance. The quantum field always responds to the frequency you're emitting, not the effort you're making. The paradox is that the less you force, the more rapidly things flow. The more you try to control, the more resistance you create. Quantum action is about natural expression, not desperate conquest. Inspired action has a specific and unmistakable quality. It emerges naturally from the new identity and seems inevitable, not forced. There's no internal struggle or resistance because the action is perfectly aligned with your current frequency. When you're tuned into the quantum field, the right actions emerge spontaneously. You don't need to force or obsessively plan. You simply act when genuinely inspired. It's as if the universe were whispering the next steps directly into your consciousness. Inspired action flows with the same naturalness with which a tree produces fruit, without effort, just organic expression of your essence. Resistance is always a clear sign that you're trying to force something that isn't aligned with your current frequency. When you're at the correct frequency, everything flows naturally, like water flowing down a mountain. Struggle indicates you're trying to get something from the identity that can't have it. When you change the identity first, resistance disappears automatically because you're no longer fighting against your own nature. The end of struggle doesn't mean passivity. It means perfect alignment between who you are and what you're creating. Synchronicities are direct confirmations that you're aligned with the quantum field. When you're at the correct frequency, the universe conspires in your favor through coincidences that seem impossible to the linear mind. These synchronicities aren't luck or chance. They're the natural geometry of quantum flow organizing your experience. It's as if you were a puzzle piece that finally found its perfect place in the grand design. The more synchronicities you experience, the more confirmation you have that you're vibrating at the frequency of your desired reality. The most liberating recognition is that you always were a perfect quantum manifester. Every experience you've ever lived is irrefutable evidence of your power to create reality through your consciousness. You don't need to learn quantum manifestation. You need to recognize you're already a master and consciously direct what you're already doing. Every limitation you experienced was a perfect manifestation of the frequency you were emitting. Every abundance you lived was a perfect manifestation of the frequency you were radiating. You never failed to manifest. You just manifested unconsciously. When you integrate quantum simplicity, manifestation stops being something you do and becomes something you are. You don't practice manifestation. You live as conscious manifestation. There's no more separation between you and the process. You are the process. Your new normal is a life where every breath is a quantum choice. Every thought is conscious programming. Every emotion is frequency calibration. Simplicity isn't about doing less. It's about being more. The end of seeking happens when you recognize you never needed to look for anything outside yourself. You already are what you were looking for. You already have what you were seeking. You already know what you were trying to learn. Seeking ceases when you understand that quantum simplicity isn't something to be achieved, but something to be remembered. You're not becoming a quantum manifester. You're stopping pretending you're not one. Quantum manifestation is simple, because truth always is. You don't need complex techniques, elaborate rituals, or esoteric knowledge. You just need to recognize you're already the conscious observer, creating your reality every moment through your frequency of being. Starting today, you can embrace the elegant simplicity of quantum manifestation. Stop complicating, start being. Stop doing, start vibrating. Stop seeking, start recognizing. If this content resonated with something deep within you, subscribe to the channel to continue discovering the simplicity behind quantum mysteries. Share this video with someone who needs to remember their natural simplicity. And leave in the comments, what complication are you ready to abandon today? Remember, you're not learning quantum manifestation. You're remembering your natural simplicity.